This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Detroit is the greatest!
Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back with Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! He makes it a goal! Darren McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We're back, everybody. We're back. Amazingly. I am Jason Jarvi. Follow me on Twitter at Jarvi the King. Sitting across from me now, John, the Doc, the Phone, Macaroon. How's it going, bud?
It's all good, Jason, man. It's a great Monday night. I'm about to enjoy this podcast recording. I know we're going to break down a lot of things with the Tigers, a lot of things with Detroit sports news, so I'm ready to let this bad boy rip. What's on your mind,
You're
sir?
Excited? Well, the big thing on my mind isn't actually the Tigers. It's the Texas Toronto, the fight yesterday. It was I think I've probably seen the punch that Odor threw at Bautista at least 200 to 300 times. It was on SportsCenter all day long. Literally every time I looked up, they would replay it about 5 times in about 15 seconds.
And the reason why I think a lot of people love it was that, you know, he got up there and just caught him flush. A lot of people see baseball scrums, and they've seen a lot of charging the mound. You know, one of the most famous scenes is Nolan Ryan beating the hell out of Robin Ventura. It's replayed a lot. But a lot of these scrums are broken up. There's a lot of pushing and shoving. I know one that got talked about a lot was when Pedro Martinez threw down
the dude.
He tossed
the old dude.
Yes, he did, and it was one of those things where you're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you did that." But this one was way different in that it was a bang bang thing where what's his name again?
It's like I don't know how to pronounce his first name. It's like Ruffner.
Yeah,
or Ruffner.
Something like that.
Ruffner Odor.
Yeah. Well,
Odor.
Odor. That's right. We'll call him Odor. And he gets up and right away pushes Bautista and boom, just cold cocks him, right? And really, a lot of people are talking about how did Jose Bautista not get knocked out after that flush?
He took that punch like a champ. I think he might have been in a few fights before. Yeah, just watching that, you know, it's the whole unwritten rule thing. You know, it goes back all the way back to the playoffs last year, where Bautista hit the home run off the Rangers, did the bat flip. Everybody knew him from that. And then he gets plunked in this game yesterday. And then the game was over, but Joey Bats goes hard into second base. It could have been way worse. He essentially went under the guy's legs, but Odor he took offense to it. And I was really surprised. It looked like what Bautista was doing. It was almost like it was just play fighting. Like he had his arm out. He wasn't really swinging, but Odor wasn't having none of that. And he got everything. He knocked off the dude's helmet, knocked off his glasses. But yeah, you got to say something for Bautista taking the punch and not falling down. Now he was up for a while, and then he was immediately got held by Rangers Adrian Beltre, which I was wondering what was up with that. And I looked it up. They're both Dominican Republican, like 2 years apart. And I know I saw a picture when the benches had cleared and they highlighted where Odor was, and he was at the back end of the Rangers. So, I mean, did he punch Bautista and just run away?
You know what? When you throw a punch like that and
it's like Carmelo Anthony when he throws the punch and then he backs all the way up to the end of the court.
That's a sucker punch, right? That's what you call a sucker punch? Was that a sucker punch?
I wouldn't call it a sucker punch because both of them it would be a sucker punch if Bautista was walking away and he hits him in the back of the head. No, it was a great hit. You know, I think Floyd Mayweather, he might take some notes.
Was that one of the? Does that rank for you among the top 3 baseball brawls of all time?
I don't really have a good frame of reference on that because it's fresh in my memory, and I don't think I've ever seen a baseball fight where he's just so clearly gets hit right in the face. You see a lot of times like it gets hit in the helmet, and it's a big scrum. We don't see too often anymore, or at least in baseball, you don't see guys getting hit square in the jaw.
No, exactly. For Bautista, the guy's coming at you. You got to at least put your hands up or whatever. But yeah, he got cold cocked. But it might also lead you to believe that Odor just doesn't have a strong punch. He just isn't that strong a dude that you can literally line up, cold cock a dude, and you don't even knock him out.
So I mean, you see fighting in baseball every now and then. The bench is clear, and obviously there's fighting in hockey. You don't see fighting too much in basketball and football. I mean, why is it? Is it just because baseball and hockey, it's basically just written into I hate to say it again, but it's unwritten rules. In baseball, if two guys are going at it, the bench is clear because you have the back of your guy. In hockey, if you're gonna go for a fight, it's just essentially you got to get it out of the way because otherwise. You get a Todd Bertuzzi where he hits you in the back of the head with a hockey stick. Why don't we really see this too often in basketball and football?
Well, I think nowadays, because the sports are so regulated, they're looking at safety, that the fines are relatively large compared to their salaries. I mean, you're getting up there in fines like $25,000, $50,000. Sue was fined $100,000 for the repeated stomps. So, and these guys don't want to give up their livelihood and miss time and things like that. So you really have to be careful with that. But, what we do see, you've seen a couple times in football, is you see spitting. That's a little bit gross. And a lot of the fisticuffs take place in the trenches where, the guys are all they're piling up on each other, and people will say, listen, that's where the nasty stuff happens. The eye gouges, the dirty stuff happens in the trenches. But out in the open, I think it's just regulated way too much. These guys don't want to give up their salary, and you give up game time. In basketball, I mean, yeah.
I didn't even see that. I didn't even think about that in NFL because you sit out a game.
It's a big chunk of your salary. It's a big chunk, relatively speaking, to 16 games. And nowadays in the NFL, with the average career length being 3 years, you make a couple bad mistakes. You're with a hard-nosed coach. He sits you, and you're basically ostracized, and you might have to be moved to another team if you get the wrong coach who doesn't like that kind of stuff. So the guys don't risk it. And in basketball, I really do think now more than ever, back in the day, you've seen the vicious elbows.
Oh yeah,
Karl Malone with Isaiah Thomas.
The bad boys.
You saw that. But once Michael Jordan kind of put this stamp on, saying that that's totally unacceptable kind of basketball, things changed a little bit. These guys aren't as intense rivals as they were in the past. And now you see these guys, they all play together in AAU. They're all friendly. Now you got guys that are, getting together in the offseason and planning out like, hey, in 2 years when your deal's up, let's orchestrate, going to certain teams and building mega teams. These guys aren't as intense rivals as they were in the past. I mean, I think the last player that I think a lot of people really, truly, truly hate is Kobe Bryant. Nowadays, these guys are all buddy-buddy. They're all vacationing with each other. You got LeBron James, Carmelo. They're sipping wine. They're partying in the Bahamas. They're not as intense rivals. And a lot of people are saying that, the basketball isn't as intense. The rivalries aren't as strong because these guys are all buddy-buddy.
I think that's probably why basketball – I see basketball as the fourth of the big four sports because just of the intensity. And I know it's more than likely NHL is still the bottom of the four. But if you go off just intensity alone, NBA is just at the bottom. You just wait until the fourth quarter, and it's either going to be a blowout or that's all you're really going to need to see in that game.
So of the sports, how do you rank it? Not in terms of what people think are the big four, just in terms of what you like.
I think for me, it's NFL, NHL, MLB, and I think NHL and MLB are really close for me. But I give the edge to NHL, and then basketball. I'd like college football or college basketball ahead of NBA. Now it's definitely been a little bit more interesting because you have the Golden State Warriors with their record-breaking season and what they've been doing. And as much as I hate Cleveland, what they've done so far in the playoffs has been not entertaining, but it's something to watch. It's something and I hate to say it again, to witness. I know.
You hear the news about Gilbert about to buy Yahoo with potentially Warren Buffett? He's putting together a deal to maybe potentially buy Yahoo. These guys with the big money, they're making moves, and a guy like Dan Gilbert is a guy that you really got to watch out for because he's a strong businessman and he's a very bright man and he knows the right people. He's got the connections.
He definitely is a slippery fellow, and he has the right connections.
Do you think, though, speaking of Cleveland, and I don't want to talk about it for too long, but Stipe Miocic won the UFC title from Cleveland, and a lot of people were like, because he put out a tweet, and he was like, shout out to Cleveland, we finally got a title. He's now the UFC heavyweight champion, and a lot of people are like, no, don't count it as a championship. You're just the UFC guy, and Cleveland is so starving for attention sports-wise that a heavyweight fighter from the UFC from Cleveland won the UFC title, and they're trying to claim it as, hey, let's just take any kind of title we can get.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it. It's not really. It's not one of the big four sports. I think that's what it really comes down to. Is Cleveland? They need either a championship in NBA, MLB, or NFL, and it's just not going to happen. I get it. You won the title, but you're just one man. And how many people actually know you're from Cleveland?
Right, but the big point was he was so shocked and surprised that he won it is that he just threw it out there. He was like, Cleveland, we did it. I'm the world champ.
Like maybe if he won the title.
He's Croatian. I was like, I was surprised. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought he was Croatian, but he's from Cleveland. So he trains out of Cleveland and all that good stuff.
Maybe if he wore a Browns jersey and while he was fighting, maybe I'd give it to him a little bit more, but I can't. I don't give Cleveland the title. You are still snake bit.
Tell me you didn't watch Believe Land at 30 for 30.
No, I did not.
No, I was like, wow, dude, everyone's giving a lot of pub. I'm like, I'm not interested at all.
I don't want to watch anything. Was it about LeBron?
No, it was about
just everything with Cleveland.
The history of some, a lot about the Browns and a lot about their demise and a lot of the struggles with Cleveland sports.
Yeah, it's because you're Cleveland. You're a mistake.
Exactly.
You're America's armpit.
So I hope they get to the NBA Finals. I hope they lose to either OKC or Golden State.
I would love to see that. I so want to see them lose. I want to see them lose, and I want to see LeBron leave again. I so want that to happen. That would make my dreams come true.
Do you think the Pistons should potentially make a push for KD? I mean, I know a lot of people are maybe looking at Washington as a stop for him, being that he's got ties there, and his old coach now is there, the head coach of the Washington Wizards. So I don't know. I know that Stan Van Gundy is trying to build a nice solid core, but hell, it wouldn't hurt to make a push for a superstar like KD.
No, I don't think it hurts. And really, I don't know why every single NBA team isn't at least giving a call to KD's agent saying, hey, any interest in Durant coming to our team? Pretty much everyone can throw him max money. I mean, why not? He's going to have his pick of whatever team he wants to go to. So Stan Van Gundy, if he was smart, throw it out. He may not come. You just never know. With a talent like that, he's one of probably 5 players in the NBA right now who can immediately make a difference on a team.
Speaking of fighting, are you serious? The Tigers make you so angry that you do want to fight someone. They got up to an 8-0 lead. It's already 8-4. It's not enough. You think?
I know, and
do you think they could blow this lead?
That's a really good transition. We really got off topic, and we wanted to talk Tigers. But yeah, they finally got their win yesterday. So they're what, like 2-6 in their last 8 games?
Like we said, 2-6, and only 1 or 2 wins on that road trip, and it was a devastating road trip. And again, could you believe a blown MLB umpire call could save Brad Ausmus's job and tenure? If they would have got swept, he would have been gone.
Totally, and I'm not even sure he should have been gone. I really don't see a reason why he's still with the team, and I'm not even blaming him for all their failures. He's the figurehead, and I was thinking about it of who's going to be the sacrificial lamb because all this bad has happened, but it's a lot on the players. And so, obviously, the manager is the guy who is usually the first guy to go. Do you think sending Anthony Ghost down to the minors, would they actually see that as like a sacrificial lamb? That they're like, oh, hey, we sent down Anthony Ghost, so you guys, you better get it going, or else, I don't know, maybe we'll send down Mike Aviles next.
No, I mean, Ghost's play was so horrid that you had to send him down. His batting average was atrocious. You were going to bring up Cameron Maben after his couple injuries and his time there in the minors. You had to bring him back up. So you're sticking with Upton in center field. You want to keep Moya in there because he's come up there and been a spark. So if you have Maben, who's the guy that you're going to send down? I'm glad they didn't send down a pitcher. They sent down Ghost, who was struggling mightily. And like we said when the season started, this is a guy, Ghost, that just doesn't, he brings a lot of speed and things like that. But in terms of the other intangibles, he just isn't, a solid hitter. He's not good enough.
He reached his peak last year. We saw what he could do, but there's no way that he'd be able to sustain it. Kind of like what we saw from JD Martinez, what he became. We weren't going to get that from Anthony Ghost. I think we expected a little bit more. What else is going to happen? What is it going to take for there to be real change? Because sending down Anthony Ghost and bringing up Cameron Maybin isn't real change. I mean, unless somehow Cameron Maybin is just an all-star and a leader in the locker room, which I don't really see. What's it going to take? Is it like a 9-game homestand now, starting with Minnesota, which, as you said, they're up 8-4, but
we're all nervous. Everyone's tweeting like, "Oh, here we go again."
Nothing is safe. What did Verlander? He gave up the bullpen gave up a 5-run lead after a great outing.
Yeah,
Mike Pelfrey had a lead going into like the 5th, and they just tossed it away like it was nothing.
Yeah, no lead is safe with the Tigers. The starting pitching after Verlander and Zimmerman has been atrocious. Now, to speak to your point about Brad Ausmus, Al Avila's finally spoke to Lynn Henning of the Detroit News, spoke also to a couple other reporters, and he said that, he understands the fans. We're all riled up. He understands the calls for Brad Ausmus's job, but he's like, I have to take a calm approach, basically saying that I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to just fire Brad Ausmus with the intention of just making a change for change's sake. I get that, but here's the problem now that Avila has in so many ways by not firing Brad Ausmus last year. You now have a situation where Al Avila has come out and said, it's my decision. Okay, fine. You're now upsetting your fan base. You're now upsetting a lot of people who watch the Tigers, and a lot of the fans are becoming apathetic, where it's not becoming critical of the play. It's just becoming, a joke fest. Who's going to, you got the memes, you got people on social media. People aren't respecting the Tigers. You have a lot of people laughing at the Tigers.
They don't deserve any respect.
They don't deserve respect. And now you got a situation where Mike Ilitch and the Ilitch family has to step over you to make this move. What's it going to take? We need losses. We need more consecutive losses. We need them to be, 8, 9, 10, 11 games under 500. Are they willing? Are the Tigers really willing, which is really mind-boggling? Are they willing to just ride out Brad Ausmus no matter what happens this season? I can't see that with a $200 million payroll. I can't.
At this point, I honestly don't see an upside though to really releasing him. I think it's going to happen. I just don't see it. It won't change anything. There's nobody you can bring in that's going to spark such a change to get this team. I mean, if the ultimate goal is winning a World Series, this team isn't going to win a World Series this year.
No.
So if that's not going to happen, why bother? Just let Ausmus ride it out, because maybe, as we've seen before, this team, it's a roller coaster ride, and we're probably going to see in this 9-game homestand, the Tigers are going to come out on top. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 6-3, 5-4, right around there. They're going to win more than they lose. Duh. But for all the people who want Ausmus to go, this will essentially save his job for another couple weeks. But even if they lose all of these,
are you still on board with the Tigers with Brad Ausmus at the helm? Do you still get pleasure out of watching him? Because
no,
for me,
I don't.
The intricacies now I'm starting to look at. I mean, how many cutoff men are the outfielders going to miss? The basic fundamentals of the game are not being attended to, and they're not getting corrected. You have Brad Ausmus, again, not understanding that Anibal Sanchez is not a guy. Even if his pitch count is 70, it is okay to use your baseball wisdom and just say, you know what, yeah, his pitch count's at 70. Yeah, he's only gone through 5 innings, but he just struggles in the 6th inning for whatever reason. Just one time, pull him early. Let him experience some success walking away from the mound for the next start. And then, hell, maybe even the next start, he'll be refreshed and can go longer. But, again, you ride him out. I know his pitch count was super low, and you ride him out there. But, again, in the 6th, 7th innings, he gives up a lead. He just isn't, he's just so, basically with Brad Ausmus, whatever decisions he's making aren't working in his favor. And nothing leads us to believe that anything he decides to do is going to work out. And so I'm off the wagon. I was off the wagon when they hired him.
I don't trust Brad Ausmus, but on the same line of thinking, I don't trust this team. I don't trust this team to pull out wins. We act like it's a joke that the Tigers are going to blow this 8-4 lead, but there's a really good chance that happens. I mean, who do we have starting? Who's pitching for us? Zimmerman. And I don't know. This team is
well. Here's some minor
in the dumps.
Well, here's some minor things that you would look at. I think a new manager could do different things. Look when Lowe was struggling. You send him out there game in, game out to try. I know his job is to be one of the key relievers, but you see that he gives up a grand slam. The next game, you bring him back out there, he gives up another one? Are you serious? If a guy's struggling, maybe just ease up on him. Justin Wilson's brought in.
And who are you going to bring in?
That's right.
Who are you going to bring in pitching? I think it's...
Go out there and get
There's two ways of thinking. There's a way of saying, oh, just ease off. You gave up a grand slam yesterday. I'm not going to pitch you today. The other frame of thinking is you got to have that. You had to put it behind you, and I think that's how pitchers and a lot of sports people should. That's how they work. You have to put it behind you.
Is it wrong just to say that Brad Ausmus just doesn't have it? Whatever that factor is, that you need that baseball feel to know that, hey, maybe this is the guy I should sit. This is the guy I should play. Justin Wilson's been, basically, if you look at it, I think he's pitched every game this year.
Not with
being
this
facetious.
Team. With this team, I think they need something different, and I don't think nothing's going to change. You say you think bringing in a new manager would change something.
Just a new voice, and someone new to kind of, bring a new life to the clubhouse.
But you also think that this team isn't going to win a World Series this year.
No.
So with Brad Ausmus right now, I think I've looked at kind of where they are at this point in the season, and I've looked back at past seasons. I think right now they're shooting for a 71-90 season, somewhere around there, 72-90. What is the best you're going to get from a new manager? Are you going to be happy going 500?
Well, yeah, I would say that a team with that's managed by someone else is not going to lose 11 of 13 games. That's unacceptable.
But if the ultimate goal is to win a World Series, and you're not going to do that this year, what's the big deal?
Yeah, I get your point. You're saying, okay, ride it out with Brad. He doesn't have a contract extension anyway. Let's just see what he can do, and then
it's going to be dead money.
We can just say, hey, you did your job. We can let you go peacefully. I would say this: if the Tigers have the onus of being all in, and how much longer are they going to be willing to spend $200 million on a payroll? If they're going to go all in, that would indicate then, based on what we're seeing now, you're going to have to add pieces at the trade deadline. And if you add more pieces, listen, Jason, they're all in. If you spend $200 million, you're going to have to spend some more money. I want someone else leading the train going forward, because at the All-Star break, I don't believe you're going to sell. You could potentially start unloading Nick C, unloading McCann, unloading JD, and planning for the future. I don't see that happening, but it could be thought about. So you might need another manager to kind of facilitate that, someone that can get through a turbulent time should there be some shakeups.
This team is just in a mess, and there's no good answer. Everything you said, yeah, it could happen. But there's no good answer.
No, yes, there's one good answer. Fire Ausmus and start over. That's, of course, you know what? If you fire Ausmus, you bring in potentially an Omar Vizquel, you make him an interim for a year, you see what he can do. Hell, the team finishes 500. Maybe the upper management will realize, okay, our window is shut. Now we got to start maybe looking at trading Miggy, trading V-Mart, doing those things. And for people saying that it's impossible, hell, you unloaded Prince Fielder. So you can unload somebody. You might not get...
Dave Dombrowski traded Prince Fielder.
Dave Dombrowski
and he was a master of trades.
But Al Avila was under Dave Dombrowski, and I'm sure he was sitting there, being privy to the information on how to do this. I do. Don't you think there's a market for Miggy? You might not get
totally.
You might not get 5 pitchers for him. You might not get, a 5-star player, but you could get a serviceable everyday guy, maybe a Trumbo, somebody that can hit the ball out of the park. Hell, I'll even take Shoop from Baltimore. That dude was on fire.
That really is the best case scenario, I think, for this team. As much as you don't want to see it, I think you need to blow up this team.
Yeah.
There's so much. This was Leland's team, and I think once he left, that train essentially left the station.
Are you ready to say that basically this new era from 2006 in this last decade was okay, was a nice ride, but in the end, it just didn't result in the ring? It just is a sad end to, this last 10-year period of baseball?
It was a good decade of baseball. And compared to what we saw leading up to that, I mean, baseball was irrelevant in the mid-90s to the early 2000s. And I'm just glad that we actually had good baseball.
Yeah, I want to take a break, and I want to come back, and I want to ask you a question regarding this last 10-year span and get your sense of how you handle this kind of disappointment.
Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
Doc here. I'm here to tell you about a great sponsor, Fanatic U. They got great locations all across Metro Detroit, 7 locations. Their newest location opened up in Brighton, so go definitely check out the newest location out there in Livingston County. And for all of you who love to shop online, you cannot miss out on getting great deals at fanaticu.com. They're Detroit Sports official outfitter and the official outfitter of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. They got great deals for Pistons gear, Red Wings gear, Lions gear, Tigers gear. If you're a fan of Detroit sports, there's no other outfitter that you need to check out than fanaticu.com. Definitely check them out. They support our project, and we love the crew over there at Fanatic U. Detroit Sports, official outfitter, and the official outfitter of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Through 5 2/3 now. They've got Ortiz, who's never homered against Benoit in his career. Bases loaded. 2 out. Hard hit into right. Back at the wall. Tie game! Big Poppy. The grand slam.
Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Welcome back. We're talking some baseball still. John wants to ask me a question. I've been waiting patiently, and he's still sitting there with a grin on his face.
Because I love to come up with things on the fly. And I was thinking about this actually listening to the radio, listening to both stations, listening to Tigers talk. A lot of people are debating the Tigers. So now we're at this point now where we're all kind of thinking the window's closed. This World Series era is going to be over. So now I'm disappointed. We've gotten to 2 World Series in the decade. You had a chance with a couple other chances to maybe get to the World Series, but now you've had a decade where you've added payroll. You've basically turned over a roster that was horrible in the early 2000s. But this is a very big disappointment not getting to the World Series, and this is a big disappointment not winning a World Series ring. And now I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Was it all worth it? Was it better for the team to actually suck than it is to actually get to the World Series twice and lose? This actually hurts. This is a situation where Mike Ilitch has tried in the last decade to bring in superstar talent. He's upped the payroll. All the prices at Comerica have basically doubled. So I'm thinking, you know what? Looking at it, would you have rather had a team that was mediocre and was maybe built differently and not tried to buy a title in this last 5 years? Or would you rather have a team that kind of are you satisfied with what they did in terms of, hey, you know what? You had a situation where you had an awful team. They were horrible. And you were willing to maybe overspend for Pudge and bring in some guys here to turn the tide. And now that you had some guys, you gave them big contracts. This last 10-year era versus the years where they sucked. Would you rather take 10 years of getting close and getting ultimately disappointed or not being there at all?
I will obviously take 10 years of getting close.
This hurts.
Because
I don't know.
10 years of irrelevancy, I wasn't paying attention. I didn't care about baseball at that point. I didn't really want to go down to Comerica Park. Once the Tigers started winning, once they brought in Pudge, and I think really when Maglio came in is when it really started. That it was a rebirth of baseball in Detroit. The Tigers were just a laughing stock of the MLB.
They tried to buy a title, though. And then now looking back at it, when I've thought about it, I'm like, you know what? If they would have brought up a bunch of young guys, like the 2006 season was magical. It was unexpected. They had not big superstars, completely unexpected. Now, I would say the last 5 years in terms of spending has been a disappointment because you depleted the minor league system. And now if you don't win it all, we're looking at 5 years maybe of struggling because there's no way they can sustain this payroll.
I think you kind of got to put that all on Mike Ilitch, though, is I think these past 5 years, they've been trying so hard to get a ring just for him. And I think that's where it really just derailed. You gave gigantic contracts to Justin Verlander and Cabrera that were slightly unjustified. Looking back on it, of course, I look at a team like the Oakland Athletics, which I would love if that was how our team was put together. But you can't go back and change that. I would like them to kind of transition towards that, have some analytics guys trying to get the most out of players, having actual guys who can get, find somebody who you can get somebody out of. Like I think the Lions are in a similar situation of just not finding the right guys. But I'm not sure when it's going to happen. It's definitely going to start with Brad Ausmus. I'm not sure if Al Avila is really the guy who's going to start to change this mentality.
You mean you think Al Avila wants to be the spending Al instead of rebuilding Al? I think he can do both. I think he's a talented general manager.
We haven't seen it yet, though. I think he's only been here. This is his first year. It's really, we're going to see the coming months what he does at the trade deadline, if he is a big seller or if they really are still in win now mode and trying to go out and get some big name that will likely not help us at all.
See, the way I look at it is the 2006 season is magical, and oh boy, Jason, I just checked my phone because our Twitter blew up as I was talking. It's 8-7 in the fifth.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I just got a tweet from our a loyal tweeter,
7.
Dave Verlack on Twitter. Ausmus is going to get kicked out of the game and fired the same night. 8-run lead, Jason. It's not safe. You believe that? As we're recording this,
I do believe that.
It's crazy.
It's only the end of the fourth.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, this is crazy. We're recording this during the Tigers game, and it's unbelievable that we could be losing the game by the time we're done recording. It's unbelievable.
Dude.
Yeah, it's terrible. So the way I look at it is the 2006 team was magical, and the big mistake that Dave Dombrowski made was he unloaded big money for Justin Verlander, for Victor Martinez.
Verlander's his biggest mistake.
That's a big mistake, right? And everybody was like, okay, you need to kind of, show loyalty to your team and show loyalty to a guy that did a lot. But in the end, everybody knew he wasn't going to live up to that contract. And so now you got a situation where you weren't able to keep Max Scherzer. I know he struggled, but maybe a starting pitching staff with Scherzer and Price might be different than what we see now. So we have a lot of regrets. You made some moves. You brought on Prince Fielder. You unloaded him quickly. Who knows? Maybe if the rumors were true and the clubhouse issues that arose with his teammates could have kept Prince here, and you could have went in a different direction, and you could have kept him around. But it just seemed like, and the way I look at it is, it's very disappointing the last 5-6 years. It's we've kind of talked about it when early on in the podcast history with Adam and I, we asked basically early on, is the window closed? We felt it was really closed when they hired Brad Ausmus. We said it. We said the window's closed, man. You can't have the World Series era is over. You can't give a young team. You can't give a team with this much payroll and this much experience to a young rookie manager. It's not right. And so we felt it was closed. The window's shut, in my opinion, and it's time now really to look at really selling off the pieces and really, because this is embarrassing, dude. Night in, night out. You get 8 runs against the Twins, and you think, okay, game over. We still got to peek at our phones, dude. This is ridiculous.
Bringing in Brad Ausmus, do you think that might be Dave Dombrowski trying to be the smartest man in the room?
No. See, the reason he's not trying to be the smartest man in the room, it was successful. You see, what happened was St. Louis with Matheny, he got success being a young guy under the tutelage. You had Farrell in Boston. You had these guys that were smart guys, and they thought, okay, maybe these guys that are smart and young could potentially do something. So he was
just follow the leader. He wasn't actually trying to find the right guy.
He wasn't
just
innovative.
Trying to find another young guy
exactly.
who they thought could be, who had no managerial experience.
Right. So,
this in the fourth inning.
What's happened now the last couple? What's been happening?
So
home runs or
in the fourth inning? No, it was just a bunch of garbage. The fourth inning, Plouffe single, Dozier ground out, Plouffe to second, Rosario double, Suzuki single, Rosario to third. So that's likely bases loaded at that point. Santana reached on infield single to the shortstop. Nobody out in that one. Mauer strikes out. Nunez singles, Suzuki scores, Santana to third, and then to cap off the scoring in the fourth inning, a single to shallow right, Santana scores, Nunez to second, and then Nunez to third on a throwing error by Kinsler.
Unbelievable. This is unbelievable what the Tigers are doing.
Oh, and then also to cap that off, at the bottom of the fourth, we went a straight 3 straight outs. That was a Cabrera ground out, a Victor Martinez line out, and a Castellanos strikeout looking. This is garbage. What the hell, Jordan Zimmerman? What the hell? None of it's working. Nothing is working for the Tigers. It's not all Brad Ausmus's fault, but he needs to. Something's got to happen. They need to blow up the entire team. Everyone's got to go. Trade away Cabrera. Trade away Victor.
Let's see. How
get
would
as much as you can for JD Martinez and Jose Iglesias and Nick Castellanos. Get all the prospects you can. Give Billy Beane all the money in the world and have him fix our team.
What do you think? Just looking at
Bring
the Tigers.
in Brad Pitt.
Listen, looking at the Tigers, we're all fans. How would you correct this? Would you start to deconstruct it? Would you just ride this season out and just say, okay, maybe we got to let go of a Nick C, maybe we got to let go of JD and see what happens? How would you correct this if you were looking at fixing this team?
I hate to say it, but I think you really need to get rid of the older players. I think as I said before, this is Leland's team. You and those people, he was able to get the most out of those players. I'm not sure if another coach can come in here and do the same things that Leland did to get them to the World Series where he got them. I think you're talking about Cabrera, Victor Martinez, Justin Verlander, Anibal Sanchez is just kind of a gas can. So I mean, those are your 4 big guys who you have a ton of money invested in. I think you may have to part ways with one of your young guys like Nick Castellanos, JD Martinez. Justin Upton was a failure. Maybe you can still get something for him though. Trade him away to an NL team. He does much better there. But you need to get prospects. We don't have anybody in the minors. You see what the Cubs did. They were mediocre. They got they had prospects, and now they're loaded, and they're going to be a team to be competing for World Series for multiple years.
Yeah, and so now you look at it too, is people are questioning who's really running this team. Is it really Mike Ilitch? Is it Chris Ilitch?
Mike Ilitch. I think it's all on him. You saw what was the press conference where he was like, oh, we shouldn't spend money, but I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I'm still going to do it anyways. I mean, the dude's senile. I think they're trying to do everything they can to get a ring for him. And at whose expense, though? It's going to be at the expense of the fans. The fans are getting a bad product.
Man, it's just disappointing all around. It's one of those things where...
That's why I say it's a mess.
It's a mess. If I was fixing it, yeah, you had to start unloading. I'd wait till the trade deadline, see what's available, see who's willing to work with the Tigers, see who's willing to maybe take some of your talent and potentially upgrade this team. We put out a message on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, and we got a caller. Yeah, man. Who we got on the line with us?
Tyler.
You're nervous about the Tigers? What's going on?
Tell us about the Tigers, man. We're worried. It's a mess there. It's 8-7 right now in the game. What's your feelings on the Tigers right now?
I feel like they have a lot of talent, but they just don't know how to put it together and win a game.
So are you one of the people who thinks that it's all on Brad Ausmus and that if they bring in a new manager that they're just going to somehow magically turn it around? Or is this just a bigger problem that we may need to start looking at deconstructing this team?
I don't necessarily think that if you bring a new manager in, they'll just be a brand new team, but I think it might help a little bit to spark a fire or something. But if we don't do something in the next little bit, we may have to deconstruct the team.
Yeah, how pissed off are you, man? Because, we're sitting here recording a podcast, and we thought, after getting 8 runs in the first inning that, hey, we don't have to check our phones anymore. We could actually talk about something positive, a positive game, and we're checking our phones recording this, and we're like, are you serious? They've given up 7 runs, and, they're actually seriously in danger of losing tonight's game.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
Now, what if this team, do you think this team could win a World Series if they brought in a new manager?
Yeah, I think they could.
If we're using your logic, you bring in a new manager. If that's the case, that this team could actually make some sort of run and make the postseason, then yeah, obviously you bring in a new manager. But if this team isn't going to, if the best you're hoping for is a 500 team, is it really worth it then to get rid of Brad Ausmus right now?
If they are just going for a 500 season, I think you keep him for the season, and then during the off season you make the move.
Thank you, Tyler. We appreciate you calling Detroit Sports Podcast. Keep following us. We appreciate it. People are still willing to be patient because here's the thing. There's no better option. There's no better option out there to replace him because people don't have confidence that, hey, it's going to make a big difference. It's that bad, huh?
It is that bad. I think, unfortunately, with the start of this season, and it really probably started with back when Brad Ausmus was kept as the manager. I didn't want to believe it at that point, but I think you go back to that point all the way up to where they are right now. Fans are apathetic, and I think you're almost getting to the point where they're not going to care about what happens. I think for me, it's starting to get there. With this prolonged losing streak, I'm just not worried about it. I'm finding myself more intrigued by Oklahoma City and Golden State in the NBA playoffs, which I don't like basketball, but it's more intriguing than what the Tigers are putting out on the diamond.
See, Jason, do you feel like this team is going to lose this fan base if this continues? Are you going to see apathy, anger? Are you going to see fans just stop going?
I think this season, it's not going to change mid-season. Fans are still going to go, but it's really going to depend on what starts happening. If Brad Ausmus he's likely gone at the end of the season if he's still here. But what happens in the offseason? Are they just going to continue to spend more money and put out a bad product, or are they actually going to make real moves that make a difference on this team? That's going to be the $100 million question, or like the $200 million question, like their payroll.
Mm-hmm. My goodness. Well, let's stop talking about this mess because
let's stop talking about this. Let's talk about something that's a little bit more exciting. That's you have hope about, and that for me is college football in general. But I love college football. We talked a lot about the draft, but there's been a lot of recent talk with college football, and especially here locally. Me and John, we're both professed. We love the Spartans. He went to Michigan State. I'm just a diehard fan. And in recent preseason rankings, Sparty hasn't been getting as much love as the school south of them in Ann Arbor. Michigan, in one preseason ranking, was ranked third. Third! Why? Why were they ranked third?
I'll tell you why.
Because of Jim Harbaugh.
Because Jim Harbaugh and his 75 satellite camps, he's going all over. If you're a big fan of New Jersey football, Rutgers, he's going there to get your players. You're a fan of Alabama and SEC football, he's going there. If you're a fan of Australian football, he's going there. If you're a fan of English football, he's going there. Dude is on fire. He's pissing people off, and he doesn't care. He's a dude that's just like, I'm going to do what I got to do to bring my players here and to win a title. So he's gotten the media, I'm not going to lie, they're a little bit lazy. They're just going to say this guy, has a track record of being a Super Bowl caliber head coach. He got 10 wins out of, Jake Rudock and that squad. So they're like, you know what? Whoever the quarterback is, be damned. Number 3.
If Michigan fans ever wonder why us Sparty fans are so pissed off at them, this is why. There's no reason for them to be ranked number 3. They don't have a proven quarterback. Yeah, we don't have a proven quarterback. I mean, at least our quarterback, who's likely going to start, went into Ohio State and won a game. When was the last time they went into Ohio State and won a game? Crickets.
I don't recall.
So it does not make sense, and it makes our brains hurt. It makes my brain hurt. I think it's all the khakis and the milk and the Gatorade. Oh man, I don't understand.
And you sent me a text before you came here that O'Connor was rated pretty high. A lot of people, the pundits, are feeling that he might be the second best quarterback in the entire Big Ten.
Right behind JT Barrett, obviously. I think JT Barrett is Ohio State could be a powerhouse this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out of the Big Ten and make some noise in the college football playoff. But yeah, O'Connor, they essentially gave it to him because of his performance in that Ohio State game. But watching him in the green-white game, O'Connor didn't look a lot different from what Connor Cook had. And I think there isn't going to be as much of a drop-off as people think. I think the two big question marks for Michigan State is trying to replace Connor Cook and Shalik Calhoun. And I think Tyler O'Connor, he's going to be very comparable. And as to call him the second best quarterback in the Big Ten right now, I don't think it's that far-fetched. There really aren't a whole lot of other great quarterbacks in the league. I think you look at Iowa's C.J. Beathard, I think he's just as good. But looking at also Athlon Sports had Ohio State winning the Big Ten and Michigan coming in second.
Here's the thing. A lot of people are going to have a lot of respect for Jim Harbaugh because of what he was able to do his first year. A lot of people didn't expect him to have, 7, 8, 9 wins his first year. A lot of people were going, 7, 8 wins max. It's an early transition year. Calm your expectations. He goes in there and versus a great Florida team goes in there and dominates, and you come away with a 10-win season. So he was pretty satisfied, and what he's done is he's riled up a lot of people's expectations that, Michigan could do some damage and get to these, college football playoff and actually do some damage. But it's super hard when you just the most important position, the quarterback position, you don't know who it is. There's like 5 guys vying for that position. You don't know how they're going to handle the pressure their first year. It just stinks that a lot of people don't look at Michigan State knowing that they got a system in place. Mark D'Antonio's been there for so long that he can just now, at this point in time, he's now being able to roll in new guys and just bring in whoever, and they're starting to have success. Why would you poo-poo that? You think they're ranked 16th in some of these polls, 14th from Athlon that you told me about?
Yep.
And I know the losses were massive, Shalik Calhoun, Connor Cook, Burbridge, but they do got guys coming in. There may not be Final Four worthy, they may not be college football ready, but they'll compete. They'll have a solid line, solid defensive line, solid running game, and if O'Connor can come in there and show some leadership, maybe he'll earn a captaincy from the team.
Hopefully. And otherwise not going to get drafted until the 6th round.
Or we'll see what happens.
And here's something I want to ask you, because a lot of people are saying that Michigan State plays the disrespect card way too much. And after the season that we had, making the college football playoff, we got blown out. Yes, I know the joke. Alabama's Derrick Henry is scoring another touchdown on Michigan State as we speak. But I don't think it's so bad to say that we're disrespected because we've done it. We've won 2 Big Ten championships in the last 3 years? We've won 2 of the last 3 Big Ten championships, and we're the ones who are outside the top 10, where Michigan they're ranked in the top 5 in most rankings. It doesn't make sense. I think it's disrespectful. Come on. The Spartans have done it. Michigan hasn't done it. It's hope. They're selling hope. To quote Mark D'Antonio, we're selling results. But yet we're just being pushed aside. We're not really thought of. But honestly, I want that. I want that disrespect. I want to be looked at in outside the top 10, because when we come in this year and when we compete for the Big Ten championship, it's going to taste all the sweeter.
Okay. So,
actually, and that's another question. Would you rather be the disrespected team nobody's counting on year in, year out, and to consistently win, or would you want to be that team who's consistently getting hyped out, saying that you're going to be one of the top teams competing for college football playoff and always falling short?
Listen, Michigan's done a great job bringing in the ultimate marketer, ultimate PR guy. It's going to be up to him this year to at least get a win versus Ohio State or Michigan State. That's it. If he goes, I truly believe, if he goes 10-2 every year, losing to Ohio State, Michigan State, you're going to have a grumpy fan base. He's got to go out there and win the big game versus his rivals, obviously. And right now, Urban Meyer, Mark D'Antonio have a little bit of a head start on him, and let's see this year if he closes the gap. He has to go to East Lansing. And here's the part I don't like and I don't respect. Michigan set themselves up with a cupcake schedule going up into East Lansing. Do you think that's the real preparation you need, is to play the likes of, whatever garbage team they got on their schedule? That's not the preparation to get to Michigan State. Michigan State, win or lose, is going to have played Notre Dame. They're going to have played a little bit of a tougher schedule going into that game. And the game is at East Lansing. Are you kidding me?
Pride comes before the fall.
No, I don't think so. I think Michigan State has done this the right way. You build through the trenches. You build a nice, solid recruiting base. You just replenish. Now, do you replenish? Can they replenish in terms of getting back to a title picture? I don't think so. But I do think year in, year out, you can compete for the Big Ten. Why not? I would rather be the disrespected team, for sure. Because, hey, proof is in the pudding. Look at the stats the last few years. Michigan has struggled mightily versus their rivals. Michigan State and Ohio State are the class of the Big Ten.
Yep, I'll be disrespected all the time as long as we win. And something I want to bring up a little bit. I talked with you over the weekend about it, and you're seeing a lot of players transferring and immediately starting on teams. You look at what Jake Rudock did. He immediately transferred to U of M, had a breakout season, got drafted. Do you think? I don't think if he was on Iowa, they probably don't have the season that they had last year. He's likely riding the bench because I think Beathard had already won the job from him. Why don't we see that more? We saw it last year as well. Vernon Adams, he transferred from Eastern Washington to Oregon, and in the beginning of the season, he was really looked at as like a Heisman candidate. And now Oregon did the same thing. They had a guy from Montana State, Dakota Pruckup, who he's transferring now. They're essentially just reloading. Why don't we see that more in college football? And it might be a little shady, but why don't big teams go, when they recruit players and they say, hey, we have a starting quarterback right now, or a starting wide receiver or running back, and we don't really have a spot for you right now. And if you want, you can go to another school. But if you really want to come to our school, which will likely be competing for a national championship year in, year out, go to an FCS school, play there a couple years, and when we have a spot, I'll give you a call, and you're going to come and compete for a national championship and improve your draft stock.
Okay, here's the thing that coaches do that's sometimes not talked about. It's a little bit of dirty recruiting, and it's also a little bit of selling hope. Sometimes these kids, they want to get out on the field. They want to play right away. So they may be willing to go to lesser schools to get on the field, or a coach may just tell the kid, listen, you're going to compete for this spot. Your spot's going to be da-da-da-da-da. Or some other coaches aren't like that. Some other coaches are like, hey, you're my guy. I'm going to recruit you. You're going to be on the field, knowing that they may be already 2 or 3 on the depth chart. So these kids think, oh, I'm going to go to the school. Boom, I'm going to start. So what the NCAA needs to do is, listen, they need to remove this year wait, and they need to remove that, when a kid decides to transfer, because for whatever reason, sometimes a coach leaves, sometimes the person that recruited him leaves, and sometimes there's situations where you thought you were going to be a starter, you thought you were going to fit in here, and it just doesn't work out. You should be allowed to, like in any other situation, just say, you know what, I want to transfer and go somewhere else and be able to start. Your point is very true and is excellent, is that some kids do realize that, hey, I need to develop. A lot of kids go to, junior college or second and third division schools and, make the decision that, hey, I can't play first division ball. I might try. There's been a lot of guys coming out of Division II that have made the jump to the NFL.
Right. You look at Cam Newton. He was in Florida, went to a FCS school for a year because he didn't want to give up that year. Goes to Auburn, wins a national championship, gets picked first overall. Why don't I think more kids do that. And I think the logical next step would be figure out how to make college similar to like a minor league for the football, because that's essentially all it is right now. Make the FCS the lower division. Let them come up to the higher division. You'd be creating better football overall if you had better players. Start off in smaller schools, then be able to transfer to the bigger schools. You'd have a good product out there.
Do you think it's kids' egos? Do you think it's their...
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
The kids want to go out and they want to play. And for whatever reason, if it's, they just want to start and they want to get their name out there, Maybe they want to go to a school and try to be the savior guy who's going to turn them around. Kids are just going to want to start. And that's the biggest thing. That'll be the biggest drawback to why this wouldn't really work out. Why kids wouldn't go to an FCS school first is there is no guarantee. Nick Saban could tell a kid, hey, go to this FCS school in Alabama. I can keep an eye on you. And then when you're a junior, I'll call you, and then you'll be around here for 2 years to compete for a national championship. What if that call never comes? Unless there's some way that they can figure out like a commitment, say, hey, you're going to be in here, and then once this guy is gone, you're getting a call.
Now, before we get out of here, I do want to ask you one thing about Michigan, what they're doing. Do you think, because yes, for sure. You know it. Two Spartans here, we have to be honest. Let's look at it like this. Bo, Lloyd Carr, Gary Moeller, they were kind of guys that were kind of like were Michigan men. They held the attitude of like, hey, you need to kind of lay low. Don't say too much in the media. Because people already hate Michigan. They're already gunning for you. They're already going to give you a great game. Teams are going to come in and give you a great game because it's Michigan. Now you got a guy like Jim Harbaugh who's completely different. He's come in there with a whirlwind of, I won't say controversy, but a lot of things that he's done that's been polarizing. He's, doing the things with recruiting, now with the satellite camps, with the things that he does on the sideline, with how he presents himself. This is a bold dude. This is a guy that's presenting himself differently. Do you think that, he's doing the right thing, doing it this way, because I believe now that teams in the SEC all hate Michigan. Teams now in the Big Ten are, lining up to continue to kind of out-recruit him and defeat him because he comes with, he's like the big popular dude on the block. And I do think, starting to look at it now, I do think that the things he's doing are drawing a lot of attention to himself. And a lot of teams want to knock off Michigan and have extra hate for them even more than before because of his antics. You think he's doing the right thing? Should he step back and kind of ease? I know he's never going to ease back into ease into being just a regular coach that doesn't draw headlines. But I think he needs to kind of cool it because I think he's going to make it a little bit harder for his student athletes to have success.
If this was any other coach or a lesser known coach, I would say that he needs to cool it, that he needs to kind of dial it back a little bit. But because we've seen what Jim Harbaugh does, this is who he is. This is what he does. And ultimately, the only thing that matters is results. And if in the end, even if within the next 5 years, if they get a championship, that's all that really matters. So you're going to have to see a pretty big drop off in the next year or two here for me to be convinced that he needs to change his ways. But nothing is real. It's really too early to say that. I think you got to let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, he likes the hard road.
And we're going to have to deal with it. And when we beat him, it'll just be all the better.
That's what I'm saying. He's trying to puff he's trying to puff the university out. He's trying to, bring back Michigan to block him. But see, a lot of people say, you don't need to do that. It's Michigan. I know their cache's lost a little bit of luster in the past because of the recent lack of success, but it's still Michigan. I do believe that he doesn't need to change that much. I just think he needs to scale it back just a touch. I love what he's doing on social media. I love the fact that he's willing to, go with the attitude of there'll be no stone unturned. I like the way he presents himself. I like the fact that he's confident, but I do think that on some level, he does need to scale it back just a touch in order to kind of also play nice with the others. That's all.
I don't like it, but if it works, I don't like any of it. I don't like any of his social media. I hate the guy. But if it works for him, I can't. I'm not going to criticize him for it. If he goes out, wins a Big Ten championship this year, he's essentially shut up everybody. And we won't have any leg to stand on next year. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens next year.
Do you see in 5 years Michigan getting a title? Will they win a title? Will Harbaugh win an NCAA college football title before D'Antonio?
I think he needs the right quarterback prospect. If he gets the right quarterback prospect, if he were to go out and get his Andrew Luck, I think he would carry it more than it did at Stanford. I don't think he really had the same type of drive at Stanford. I think you get that top quarterback prospect on Michigan, it's going to be scary, and I hate it. I don't want them to win, but I can't deny them.
Well, I hate to end the podcast talking about Michigan, but they got a lot of weight to them, and it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do going forward.
Yes. And that'll do it for this episode of the Motor City Sports Rant.
Is Brad Ausmus the manager next time we record the podcast?
No.
Oh,
He's not the manager when we record this podcast. I'm not even sure if he's going to be the manager when the Fantasy Nerds comes out, but we'll have to see. And until next week, I'm Jason Jarvi. He's John Macaroon, and we'll see you later.
Okay, nice, idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.